Good morning, and thanks to everyone for being here this morning. I'm going to go ahead and call this session of the City of Ocean Shores Hearing Examiner to order. For the record, today is Tuesday, October 7th, 2025 at 10 a.m. My name is Yoshi Kumara. I'm a hearing examiner with Laminar Law, whom the city has selected to hold certain land use hearings like this one today. We have one item on the agenda today. First, I'm going to go through a few procedural items, then we can get started with that. So first, it is my role this morning to collect evidence in the form of exhibits and testimony to determine whether the proposal complies with the comprehensive plan, zoning ordinances, critical area ordinances, and the criteria for approval of the reasonable use exception. For evidence in the form of exhibits, I have reviewed and will admit all of the exhibits I received prior to the hearing. If there are additional exhibits that anyone would like admitted, please let me know when it is your opportunity to testify. For testimony today, typically the order where we will follow will be that the city will first provide an overview of the proposal along with any recommendations. Then we'll hear from the applicant representative, and after that, members of the public will have an opportunity to testify. And following that, we will turn back to the applicant and the city as necessary to answer any questions or provide any responses. All testimony today will be under oath or affirmation. Because were my decision to be appealed, the recording of today's hearing, along with the admitted exhibits and my written decision, would serve as the foundation for such an appeal. And with that, we can move forward with reasonable use exception number 25000004, which is a request for an approval of a reasonable use exception to allow for a multi-family housing development that would impact what protected wetland buffers associated with 5 Category 3 wetlands located on 5 separate lots, located at 756, 748, and 738 Ocean Shores Boulevard, 749 Ocean Court, and 154 Capstan Street Northwest. In advance of this hearing, I have reviewed several exhibits, including the staff report prepared by the city staff, the application, critical areas report, and reasonable use exception proposal prepared by Convergent Ecosystems, and various notice materials. I'm going to go ahead and admit those into the record. Who is going to present on behalf of the city today?
I think I am this morning,
All
Your
right.
Honor.
Great. Mr. Reed, let's go ahead and get you sworn in. If you could raise your right hand.
Okay.
Great. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth in the testimony that you give here today?
I do.
Great. And if you could please spell your name for the audio recording and explain your role at the city.
Yeah, my first name is Marshall, Marshall. Last name Reed, Read. And I serve as the lead planner in these matters, representing the city of Ocean Shores and presenting the staff report.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Reed. You can go ahead with your presentation.
Okay, before I get into the staff report, this is a little more complex application than what we typically go through. So rather than, I'm going to summarize the first part of the staff report and give detailed information on the parcels that we're discussing today, what their current zoning is, the surrounding zoning and land uses, and then give a brief introduction of the proposal, and then we'll go ahead and turn it over to Rosemary and Bruce to provide some of the finer details as to how this project's going to evolve.
Great. Thank you.
So we had a submittal date of September 9th, 2025 for the RUE25 0000004. We produced a report September 11th, 2025. And the purpose is an application for a reasonable use exception to authorize impacts to a wetland buffer for commercial property in a B1 retail commercial zone. A conditional use application will then be submitted to address the proposed shared common wall and short subdivision development of 5 lots located in the northwest quadrant of the Block E of Ocean Shores. Ocean Shores Boulevard, Ocean Court, and Capstan Street Northwest encircle the proposed lots. The applicant is TXE LLC, represented by Bruce Malcolm at 412 West North Camino Drive on Camino Island in Washington State. The project description is TXE LLC RUE25 000-004. And rather than read through the parcel numbers, I'm going to give the the division block and lots. This will be Division 1, Block E, and Lot 19, Division 1, Block E and Lot 20, Division 1, Block E, Lot 21, Division 1, Block E and Lot 23, and 1E and Lot 22. These are comprised addresses: 756 Ocean Shores Boulevard, 748 Ocean Shores Boulevard, 738 Ocean Shores Boulevard, 749 Ocean Court, and 154 Capstan Street Northwest in Ocean Shores. The lot sizes on each of these, 11,745 square feet, 12,009 square feet, 22,543 square feet, 12,578 square feet, and 8,645 square feet. The impacts to each of these were approximately 3,959 square feet, 4,298 square feet, 7,208 square feet, 7,068 square feet, and the last one is 8,645 square feet. The zoning, all of these parcels are zoned B1 retail commercial, and these lots are not part of the shoreline jurisdiction, so all wetland regulations that pertain to these parcels in this matter will come from the Ocean Shores Municipal Code and not the Shoreline Master Program. The surrounding conditions, the zoning, all surrounding properties are zoned B1 retail commercial. The land use designation from the Ocean Shores Comprehensive Plan, all lots surrounding this are part of the retail commercial gateway corridor. The existing land uses: to the north, we have retail commercial; to the south, we have retail commercial; to the east, we have retail commercial; and to the west is also retail commercial. Background: the subject properties addressed at the following: 756, 748, and 738 Ocean Shores Boulevard, 749 Ocean Court, and 154 Capstan Street are located in the northwest corner of the city of Ocean Shores. The closest intersecting road is at Capstan Street Northwest, and the properties are zoned B1 and are retail commercial. Retail commercial and or multifamily homes are a permitted use in this district. The properties have been reviewed and delineation has been completed to develop a site plan that appropriately works within a wetland area and their buffers with approved mitigation plans as provided. Okay, so I think at this point, what I would like to do is turn the introduction of the project over to either Rosemary or Bruce to kind of outline what we're looking at as far as the individual properties. The other thing that I'll note for the public, if you're familiar with the area, these are the properties that are adjacent to what was once the old bakery in Ocean Shores. That's how it's commonly referred to by the locals. So go ahead and take it from here, Your Honor, if you want to swear in either Bruce or Rosemary.
Yeah, I can go ahead and maybe get you both sworn in real quick here, and then you can if you both want to talk, or we don't have to worry about swearing in after that part. So Ms. Baker, why don't you go ahead and raise your right hand? And do you swear or affirm to tell the truth in the testimony that you give here today?
I do.
Great. And could you state and spell your name as well as your role with the project?
My name is Rosemary Baker. That's spelled ROSEMARYBAKER. I am the wetlands consultant for Mr. Malcolm and his property TXC LLC. And I did the delineation work and the critical areas report for the project.
Great. Thank you, Ms. Baker. And Mr. Malcolm, if you could go ahead and raise your right hand. Great. And do you swear or affirm to tell the truth in the testimony that you give here today?
I do.
Great. And if you could go ahead and state and spell your name for the record, as well as noting your role with the project.
Sure. My name is Bruce Malcolm, BRUCEMALCOLM. I am a principal of and manager of TXE LLC, which owns the property.
Great, thank you, Mr. Malcolm. And I'll leave it up to Ms. Baker and Mr. Malcolm to decide who wants to go first here in describing the project.
If it's the project itself, we have a big echo. If it's the project itself, I can describe that.
Great, why don't you go ahead? I think the echo will sort of clear up once you start talking, I hope.
Okay, we have, we've designed a number of multifamily dwellings. They are primarily 2-unit buildings on the Ocean Shores Ocean Shores Boulevard side of the property, lots 19, 20, 21. Those are all 2-unit buildings. And on the eastern side, the Ocean Court side, those are more individual cabins, which are allowed under the motel designation. That's it in a nutshell.
Great, Ms. Baker, do you want to go? Do you have other? I have some questions, but if you have other information you wanted to add, that would be great at this point.
I do very well with prompted questions, and I can add more from there. It's helpful to know what is maybe needing clarification.
Great.
In general, I'll just say I delineated these properties, were surveyed for them earlier in the summertime, late spring, summer, and did successfully find the on-site wetlands that were there. In general, we've designed this for avoidance and minimization of impact to the greatest extent we could. Clearly a lot of encumbrance of critical area, particularly on the eastern 2 lots. So in this case, we did our absolute best to preserve what we could whilst pursuing the development.
Great, thank you. So I have questions. I have Marshall, Ms. Baker, or Mr. Reed, Ms. Baker, and Mr. Malcolm. I have some questions, and I'll just sort of throw them out there, and then you all can decide. So I guess the really quick question, Mr. Reed, is the staff report notes some lot sizes and impacts that I think are different than what is noted on Ms. Baker's site plan. So I just wanted to check in with you and see which ones, I think I'm sort of trying to compare, but I think there's maybe just one, maybe it was just a little bit of a typo there that says the last lot size is 8,600 square feet. And I think it's about 15,000 square feet, if I'm correct. I just want to make sure, I just wanted to, I see Ms. Baker nodding her head. So I'm thinking maybe that was just a typo in the staff report.
Yeah, that's likely.
Great,
I would defer to the delineation, the numbers in the delineation.
Okay, great, thank you. So I guess my next question is how the decision was made to apply, to include all of these parcels in this single application. If someone can sort of just clue me into what the decision process was for that, since it is a little bit unusual.
That I'm probably best qualified to answer that. I've got to turn my volume down. Where I've got, the 5 parcels here, and it's kind of hard to put it into words. To approach a development plan, they are kind of interrelated. We looked at it initially, this is a big commercial site. We could put a hotel on there. And, but then, that would involve a much more impact on wetlands, which would involve Army Corps of Engineers. I have a hard time answering it. Basically, we look at it as one, even though it's 5 individual parcels, it is one big mass of land. And in order to make any plans going forward, we need to know, what we can do with the whole thing.
That's a great answer. I appreciate that. Thank you. So Ms. Baker, I was wondering if your analysis of the wetland and buffer impacts would be any different if each lot was considered separately, or whether it would largely be the same.
Well, I mean, that also is a challenging question to a certain extent because you're kind of talking about a potential that we didn't take to the final design. In this case, I think the point is well made, and Bruce said it, that given that he owned all these adjacent lots, if he had decided to develop them individually or as he suggested, as a single hotel, which a lot of the lots along Ocean Shores Boulevard have become, you'd have a lot less flexibility to preserve wetland areas and buffer areas in this case. The approach here was a planned housing community, or in this case, kind of recreational accommodations, kind of planned development in ways that could create flexibility for placement of the houses or the cabins and the kind of tourism accommodations. And that was a way in which we could totally preserve the wetlands and just use upland areas. So this allowed Bruce to maximize the land use and the potential for revenue, as well as preservation of the critical areas. So yeah, it's hard to say how that might have looked if he had decided to do 5 different RUEs for 5 different developments individually. It probably would not have penciled out for him in that case.
Great, that's really helpful. Thank you. Mr. Reed, I have a couple questions. The first is, the applicant is proposing to utilize offsite mitigation, and I just wanted to check in with you on the availability of those mitigation credits.
Yeah, so this is the very first RUE hearing that we have put before the hearing examiner, where we didn't have a commitment from the city to provide the offsite mitigation. The city has 2 different projects that we're working on currently that are going to impact those availabilities. This project will not move forward without full offsite mitigation, whether that be provided by the city of Ocean Shores or another mitigation bank, should the city of Ocean Shores not be able to provide those credits, or if we run out due to being used on another project. He is in the queue to receive credits once they become available.
Right.
And then we'll provide those as needed.
Great, thank you, Mr. Reed. And my next question is about whether SEPA review was conducted on this. I know it's a little bit of an unusual development, and it's sort of phased, but I just wanted to, I think SEPA is probably required on this, so I want to chat with you a little bit about it.
Yeah, well, we will be running this through SEPA.
Okay, and is that something, I think typically SEPA needs to be done at the earliest stage in a project. So at what point are you planning on providing a SEPA analysis?
Well, that's something that will be, like you said, one of the first steps. We can either do that as a requirement of this hearing, or we can do that as a follow-up, as a first step before any development takes place.
So I would be happy to hold the record open while you do the SEPA process for this hearing. I do think that it probably needs to get done at this stage. I worry about approving if I were to approve the RUE without the SEPA completed, that the appealability of this decision would be foregone or lost in that process. So I can hold if that works for the city, I'm happy to hold the record open for the SEPA period.
Yep, we can certainly do that.
Great, thank you, Mr. Reed. And then I have just a couple more questions. This was a lot. It's a big project. So on the
It
site
is a big project.
plan, yes. On the site plan, there are the delineation fencing I see goes on the eastern side, goes into what I think is probably city right of way. And I just wanted to check with the city or check with the applicant and get a sort of nod of approval from the city or some discussion about, you know, whether the fencing not on the property would be allowed.
Yeah, the city would do that, would allow that as a matter of protecting the set aside buffer of wetland area A. But if it turns out that, the rest of this, development, we could actually cut the fence short depending on what makes sense as it starts to evolve. We would,
Okay.
yeah, I guess from the city standpoint, we would not require that he fence the right of way. But if he chose to fence that and, you know, preserve that buffer, the city would likely not take exception to that. We would leave, there are utilities in that corridor, so, there's already, been some mowing that takes place in that area. We would just preserve that as, natural as possible.
And just to clarify or to add to that, on the ground in this right of way, it's majority of that right of way up to the edge, the eastern edge of wetland A, is still vegetated. So
Yes.
yeah, I get your point. That makes sense. I think we just kind of overlooked that particular detail when putting this together. We just kind of it looked like it was dotting I's and crossing T's, but you're right that actually the east of wetland A is a mowed right of way, so the fence line would not extend into that. It would just come up to the edge of the existing vegetation on that side of the lot. But it will be necessary. I mean, if the city is good with it, it would be helpful to preserve the north and the south sides of the wetland, particularly the north, because a driveway access would be coming through.
Yeah, I would agree.
Great. So I will I will probably leave that, you know, typically the condition that's included in these decisions, if I were to approve this, is that the applicant would come up with a mitigation plan with the city. And so I think in that mitigation plan, there could be some discussion of whether the city wants to have that fencing or wants to let that area become more natural with the access for utilities or for, you know, the city needs. But I'll likely leave that up to a later discussion. And then I think my next question is about, so it's a similar question. So wetland E on the north and east, it's at the property line, and I don't see delineation fencing there. I don't know what is currently at that loci. I don't know whether there is already like regular fencing or buildings. So I was just wondering if someone could just describe to me why there's no delineation fencing here or what the site looks like there.
Sure.
Yeah.
Oh,
Go ahead, Rosemary, I guess you're well suited to answer this as well.
sure thing. Yeah, on the east side of wetland E and lots 19 and 20, there is an existing residence. So and actually the structure on the lots to the east, or the single lot to the east, is very close to the property line. There's actually a kind of maybe a mowed fire break behind the structure up against the property line. So there's in this case, typically we've not been required to put fencing up. At least historically, I have not been required by the city to put up fencing or show fencing on our figures along property boundaries, like exterior property boundaries. It's been more so putting in, because usually, you know, further incursion is not going to occur because there is a property line there. Often there's already a fence line there. In this case, I think it's kind of a little vegetated barrier in between the property lines, but usually we're only required to put fencing in along what we're proposing as a developed footprint or envelope.
Great, thank you.
Yeah,
That's very helpful. Go ahead. Oh, go ahead,
Yeah, if
Mr.
I
Reed.
could add to that, what we would typically do on a deal like this is split the difference, and put in a single post with a wetland buffer boundary sign that would delineate that as a critical area. And so that's what I would propose on this one, where we're not putting fencing, the 2-rail fence in
Right.
entirely. We would split the difference between the fence and the property corner going both directions and just put a single post with a sign.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Reed. I don't think I have any more questions for you all at this time. I will turn it back to if anyone from the city or the applicant has any further remarks. I'll be back. I think we have a number of people maybe in the room who are hoping to testify, so I can turn back to the city and applicant after that as well.
Okay, yeah. Do you guys in the room, do you guys have any questions or comments that you would like to give a public comment in this matter?
Not really. We were just curious of where they were as far as the CBOG, the JARBOG,
Okay.
and what the process is.
Right, okay. And you're satisfied based on the hearing that you know what's
Yes.
transpiring there? Okay. No public comment from the room then, Your Honor.
Okay, anyone online?
I don't see that we have anybody else.
Okay,
Oh, we do have Don Williams online.
Mr. Williams, if you're interested in testifying on this matter, you can,
Nothing here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Don.
okay. Yes, Ms. Baker, go ahead.
Well, I will just add to the response from members in the audience there. Just to say that, yes, it makes sense entirely that SEPA would apply here, given the extent of new impervious surfaces. So yeah, in being prompted by Your Honor, as well as the city, will be happy to provide that SEPA checklist and disclosure of information. But just to say that JARPA should not and would not be required, as we're not impacting wetlands in this case. That would be an application specific to that.
Thank you for that clarification, Ms. Baker. Anything further? Okay, well, with that,
Yeah,
go ahead, Mr. Reed.
Yeah, I don't have anything that I would like to add. Other than we have, we will be starting development or entertaining permits for 2 of the units on the northwest corner of the project that are fully outside of the buffer and would not be part of a wetland requirement as it is. And then as the process, as this hearing fleshes out, then we would entertain building permits within the area where there would be buffer impact.
Could I ask a question for clarification?
Your Honor, I have a request for a clarification. Go ahead.
If a JARPA is not gonna be done because there's no impact on wetlands, does this mean this entire project is not going into any of the wetlands? It's all
Correct. It
staying
will all
outside
be
of the
upland buffer impact. The entire proposal is to impact buffer only, not the wetland direct. That's correct. Okay, Your Honor.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. So, all right, well, I will go ahead and adjourn this hearing in this matter. I will leave the record open until the SEPA process is completed. And then after that, I will issue a decision within 10 business days of the end of the SEPA period. And with that, I'll adjourn this hearing. Thank you all so much for being here this morning.